Today I really have nothing to talk about. So I always talk about, what there is. I was walking around today and looking at the weather, and here in Pittsburgh, it's cold. It's actually the middle of April, and it's cold. The temperature was in the 30s this morning, and it's got to around 45. And I'm thinking to myself, why is that? I mean, the season has changed, and we should be enjoying better weather. I mean, what's going on? It's cold still. And so, wearing my sweater, and it was snowing a little bit ago. There was a lot of hail and rain, very wet. And I'm thinking to myself, is this a mistake? Is there a mistake of nature that it's so cold? And I realized no. Nature doesn't make mistakes, because nature does what it does. See, we have devised certain things that we decided to be how we live our lives, how we control our lives. One is time. And time is really a social mechanism, because you wake up in the morning and you expect the sun to shine. You go to bed at night, you expect the moon to be out. But what if you went to Alaska and you were during the Alaska 6 months of daylight? What happened? Would you demand that because you come from the continent of the United States, that nature would move towards what you expect? Would you walk around all the time being upset because the sun hasn't gone down for months and months? Or if you got there during the 6 months of night, would you shake your fist to the sky and say, "Hey, come on, lighten up"? Maybe you would, but it wouldn't make a difference. And so you realize that this world is based on a lot of different things, but it's not based on time. It's not based on schedules. It's not based on likes or dislikes. There's no agenda. When you see a tsunami and it occurs and it kills, hundreds of thousands of people, or earthquake comes and it kills, thousands of people, it wipes out cities, people die, and you say, "Oh, well, maybe God is mad. Nature has wrath. It's an act of God. It's Mother Nature." But you realize, no, this is the way things are. If you were to take a microscope and look into your own body, look at your skin, look at your hair, look into your eyes, you see thousands of processes going on, of little things going on. Microscopic organisms are inside of you and in your hair and your skin. They're fighting and they're eating things and they're growing and they're moving around. I mean, if you look at a drop of water in a microscope, you probably wouldn't want to drink water again, because there's so much activity going on inside that drop of water. But yet you still drink water. And you tend to look at things, and if you look at them long enough, you start to take a side. You start to say, well, this process is doing this, so therefore it's good or it's bad. But in reality, it's neither. If you ever watched a nature show where, let's say, a lion had knocked down a prey, like a gazelle or some sort of animal prey, and it was eating it. And I remember as a kid, I used to watch these shows, and I was thinking to myself, well, how come the cameraman doesn't step in and save the little deer or the gazelle? How come it doesn't step in and save the rabbit from the snake? Because nature doesn't have an agenda. Nature doesn't have a sense of hostility without purpose. Things occur. It's like when you see a lightning strike, and it hits the ground and it causes damage, it doesn't mean that someone is meant that to happen because they're mad at something. It's just a processing. Do you realize that when women are pregnant, there is a very high incidence of spontaneous abortion that occurs within the woman's womb? It happens a lot. Some are obvious. They call them miscarriages, but some are not obvious. It didn't even show up to be pregnant. So you would say, well, that's a bad thing, or it's a good thing that the child survived. And of course, for us, because we're human, we have sensibilities and we have feelings. And so when someone's pregnant, we want the baby to go to term. But if the baby aborts in its mother's womb, you can't say that something outside of that caused it to dissipate, as if it was like a lottery, or someone had volition and say, okay, I'm going to cause this woman to get pregnant and go to full term, and this woman get pregnant, I'm going to cause her to have an abortion. There's no control factor there. If you have an abortion, that's your own choice. But if the baby is spontaneously aborted, it happens in the body. It happens all the time. So we tend to look at things as if there is a causality when there really isn't anything that caused it, except for just a natural occurrence. There's no bad thought behind it. So when I go outside and it's the middle of April and it's still cold, I don't think, well, I pissed somebody off and they kept it cold. It doesn't make any sense, because just as one person doesn't like the cold, there might be a lot of people who actually like the cold, and they say great. Like my wife, for example, doesn't like weather that's too warm, because in her mind bugs come out when it's warm. So for her it's like, hey, it's cold, great, there's no stink bugs or whatever bugs that are going to affect her. So again, not liking it or liking it does not make it change. But you have to look at nature in the sense of there is no purpose behind it. So with that being said, if there's no purpose behind nature and there's no purpose behind the things that happen to us in our body, if you have a heart attack, or especially if you have cancer, there are people who get cancer, and the actor who plays Spartacus, and he had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and he's being treated. He asked doctor, what caused it, and the doctor says, we don't know. We just know that it occurs. And this guy was fairly young. He was healthy, took care of himself, and he got this, and he died. And you would say, oh, he was taken away too soon, or someone, got back for doing something he did wrong in life. No, it's just nature. It just happens. Happens all the time. But with that, with the fact that nature has no agenda, and we look at things and we assign good or bad to it, then maybe we should look at our own lives and think that if we believe in causality as opposed to correlation, then why do we do certain things? Like, why do we smoke cigarettes? Now, I don't smoke cigarettes, but as a race, we inhale fumes. Why do we do that? Why do we eat unnatural foods? And what I mean by natural means like candy bars, processed foods, packaged foods, food that are made of sugar, just sweet and or fattening, or just all kinds of just junk, things that you would look at as being junk. You couldn't even find any nutrition at all in this food, but we eat it all the time. Do you know that there is more salt in bread than in potato chips? And we eat it all the time. So we understand that the things that we do are not going to help us. You see, one thing about man that set aside from nature is the fact that we do have feelings. we do have choices that we make, and we do have ways of deciding what our road is going to look like towards the end. Now, one thing we know, that everything in nature dies, including us. And again, you can say it's good or bad, to make a difference, it's going to happen to you. It's like if you see a person and you say, okay, what is considered a good death? One person dies of cancer, one person dies of a heart attack, one person dies from a plane crash, a car crash, one person is murdered, one person gets disease, it goes on and on and on. One person is, he dies at birth, one dies in early childhood, one dies in his teens, one dies as an old man, 85 years old or 90 years old. But the end is still the same. Death is still there. So it's really not about the way you exit. It's about the way you live. And thinking about death, it's like if you feel that death is, it's there. You have an appointment, and you know that you're going to have to step up one day and take your final bow. Then why do you live certain ways? Why do you look at your own body as being something that you really don't take care of? You have to be told, well, your cholesterol is really high, your blood pressure is really high, so you got to start taking these pills, you got to cut back on this, you got to start doing that, as if you didn't know. And it's like the worst thing in the world is to be told that you are taking a self-imposed course of action to lead you to the end of your own life, and we can't stop it now. Sometimes people say, well, it's never too late. Well, it's not true. There are times when it is definitely too late. You've gone too far. You've done too much damage. And it's not that you've done damage to your body. You've done damage to your psyche. You see, you become so conditioned with what you're doing that we can't help you anymore. We know that if you continue to eat these foods, live this lifestyle, do these activities, you're not going to make it. You're going to be overweight. You're going to be full of stress. You're going to just lose everything bit by bit, and your death is going to be very quick in coming. It's very quick in coming, and we can't stop it. Why? Because you won't relent. You won't turn around. You won't pause and consider the course you're on and saying to yourself, I have the right to make a U-turn. It's like if you ever followed your GPS and you plug in an address and you kind of knew where it was. You said, I know where this street is and I don't really need GPS, but I'm going to put it anyway. So you put it in and it tells you to go one way. You say, no, I know where the street is. It's that way. So you start going the other direction. Meanwhile, your GPS is telling you, make a U-turn. Or you look ahead to see what's telling you to make a left turn and a left turn and go straight. It's telling you to turn around. You say, no, I know I'm going, it's this way, not that way. And after a while you realize, you know what, you were wrong, you were going the wrong way the entire time. So, the thing about it is, if you know that you are doing the wrong thing, you have to make the U-turn yourself. See, I can tell you, I can say, look, you know what, you can do this. You can stop being this way. You can stop being an idiot. You can stop being a glutton. You can stop being a mean-spirited person. You can stop being somebody who just doesn't do the right thing by doing this thing. And you say to yourself, okay, that sounds good to me. It sounds real nice, and I'm going to do that. But I'm going to give you a challenge. Try to write with your opposite hand. So, for example, if you're right-handed, try to write with your left hand for about a minute. Okay? pick a sentence, write it out on your right hand, and then try it with your left hand. I guarantee you that after that minute is done, you're going to say to yourself, this is not worth it. I'm going back to using my right hand. Because your nature and your conditioning has told you that the best way to do things is from the side that you already know. Now, I know a guy, he's one of my friends, he's a cab driver, and nice guy. Always says hi to me, calls me sir, shakes my hand. And I saw him one day, and he had suffered a heart attack. And so I saw him after he had come back, and I said, oh, hey, how you feeling? He said, oh, yeah, feeling good. Doctor told me you got to lose some weight. I'm working on losing some weight. He started losing some weight. But over time, I saw his weight he's coming back. His weight was coming back, getting bigger and bigger again. And the last time I saw him, his face was like droopy, like he had a stroke. Now, he might have had what they call it the Bell palsy. I really don't know. I didn't really inquire. I was just so shocked to see his face looking the way it was, and he was talking with a slur. But I know that his weight had gone up, and he did not control it. You see, what happens is, as human beings, we do this. We look at our life, and we go, well, in my life, I've been sick, and I've been in the hospital, and I had an operation, and I'm still here, and I never died. So therefore, I'm not going to die this time. It's not going to happen. It might happen to someone else, but it hasn't happened to me yet, so I'm not going to die. Don't worry about it. I'm going to be the one to overcome this thing. I'm going to be the world's healthiest 200-pound guy. And I'm going to be the world's healthiest 300-pound guy. Or I'm going to be the world's healthiest 500-pound guy. Just make a difference. I am going to overcome anything that is an obstacle and show that I can become the anomaly of it. And nature says, well, I'll show you different. Okay? You can look out the window and say to yourself, you know what, I'm going to be the first guy to jump out of a 10-story window and land on my feet and walk away. No problem. And nature will say, I'm going to break your legs. Because that's what nature does. And there's no agenda. There's no thought of malice. It's just the way it is. So, if you want to eat poorly, don't sleep regularly, you want to have bad thoughts and do bad things occur. And when you're laying there in a hospital, and you got all kind of machines and wires, anything on you, and you can't breathe properly, and your doctor's standing, you give you one of these, you can't say, it's your fault, fix me. Because you can't be fixed. You can fix someone's body, but it's hard to fix someone's mind. There was a show one time, still one, called The Biggest Loser. And the guy came on the show, and he lost tons of weight. He won the show. I think he must have lost probably about 200 pounds. And within a year, he had all the way back. Okay? What happened? Just like what happened to Luther Vandross, the singer. He had lost weight. I think he did like the Atkins kind of diet. He lost weight. Got slim, got trim, looked better, felt better. Went back off his diet, all the way back. Well, go back and do it again. Lost the weight again. Felt good, looked good, gained it all back. And he said, oh, forget, I can't do it no more. I tried too hard. I can't keep the weight off. Lo and behold, lost weight again. Gained it all back, had a stroke, and died. And so, his body wasn't broke. His psyche was broke. His sense of staying on mission was splintered, fractured, and broke. And so, I don't really know what it takes. There's no ultimate solution, but people do things all the time and they go right back. But I know that if you look at yourself as being in flux, which means you're changing all the time, you know that ultimately the change will start to occur on a visual level. You may lose a lot of weight. You may control your temper. You may find yourself in a situation that's new and it feels really nice. But if you don't try to look at it for what it is and realize that your nature is pulling you back towards the old way, you'll find yourself back there. And how does it happen? You wake up one day, you say to yourself, you know what? I got married and I'm going to be a nice guy and I'm not going to flirt anymore with women and I'm not going to fool around. But, today's my secretary's birthday. I'm going to take her out to lunch. And buy her some flowers. And, right down there, love, John. You realize you're taking little steps towards things that just might not keep you the way you want to be. You see, it doesn't take a lot for a person to go back to a familiar space. Because if you think about it, what's familiar feels good. And what feels good kind of makes you happy. So when you're someone and you're struggling to do anything, let's say you were like Tiger Woods, for example, if he was struggling to stay with one woman, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't. Now, it doesn't feel good for him to feel the guilt of fooling around, but he gets more pleasure out of fooling around than he does not fooling around, because he wants to. It's like, I want to, but I can't. Love to, but I can't. Really need to, really want to, but I can't. See, you cannot sustain yourself in a state of holding your breath, holding yourself to a certain standard which you really can't support. So, I don't know. I hope it gets warmer. But if it doesn't, I'll just wear my sweater and realize that nature is going to be what it's going to be. And if we can't change who we are, if my friend can't lose the weight and maintain himself, if people can't maintain themselves with a certain mindset, then realize that when that day comes and whatever it is, the disease totally takes you and it destroys you, that you were sort of like the person who was walking on a tightrope, and you were twiddling, you were teetering between life and death, and you were playing with it. But when you fall, maybe, hopefully, you would say to yourself, I'm falling, but it was a good voyage. It was a good trip. Because you didn't have to go on that tightrope. That's the point. You didn't have to be that kind of person. You could have gotten up anytime you wanted to. So you decided that instead of eating properly, you're going to just keep on eating bad foods. And you haven't died yet. You're not dying yet. You're not dead yet. Oh, you have a heart attack. Now you're dead. Or you're fooling around on your spouse and you haven't got caught yet. It feels good, having a lot of fun. And one day, boom, you get some sort of disease. Or someone gets pregnant. Or you get caught. And now, hey, you got to deal with it. So if that's going to be your mindset, if you're going to go on a chosen path, even though you knew you had the right to get off and you didn't take it, don't be surprised when you fall. Thank you and have a great day.